What you are about to see is what we call a love story. This is a small clip. The actual video was 20 minutes in length. The music was provided by the customer.
From teaching all day. So Chad and I, we rode up in the elevator together, and then we went in, and Brooke was actually sitting there in a chair, and I kind of thought it was her because, I mean, she was, sorry ladies, but she was the best looking nurse there. And Kathy came around the corner, and she kind of was over her shoulder. That's her right there. So I was like, that's cool. Well, I was worried the whole time that she thought Chad was me, and I was thinking, you know, well, she's going to see Chad, and, you know, he's a good-looking guy, you know. So I thought, you know, maybe she's going to think that's him. But it turned out that she knew who I was because Kathy had prepped her originally. And so we just kind of stood there, and I was looking over at her and trying not to make eye contact too much. And then she all of a sudden gets up and takes off, and she went down the hall a little bit. And when she did, I was like, oh no, I don't think she's even seen me.
I met Darren through a girl that I work with, Kathy Knobloch. She and I were working at the hospital together, and she kept bugging me about this guy that she wanted to set me up with, and I had to meet him. He was really nice, and I just kept telling her I wasn't interested, I didn't want to date anybody, and I just didn't want any part of any relationship at this point in my life. And she kept, oh, I'll bring you a picture, you know, he's really nice. And so finally I just said, okay, you know, I'll go out on a date with him. And she actually had him come to the hospital, and with her husband, they brought Kathy dinner one night. And that was so I could check him out and see what he looked like. So I was sitting at the nurse's station, and they walked in and were standing up there, and I kind of saw what he looked like, and then I acted like I had to go down the hall and hang an IV for a patient, and then I came back so I could check him out again.
Then she came back, and I was just looking down the hall waiting for her to come by, and she came around the corner and she was looking right at me, so I kind of figured something was up.
So that was pretty much the first time I saw Darren, and then from there on we set up a blind date, or a date for us to go on with Chad and Kathy. For our first date, Darren and I met at Cousin's restaurant in Bad Axe.
It was kind of a double date, and Chad and Kathy and myself and Brooke all met for dinner, and that's the first time I met her.
Chad and Kathy were supposed to be there, but they weren't there right away. So I walked in, and there's Darren sitting at the bar, and I knew it was him, and I walked over and sat down by him, and we had a drink and just started talking, and we're waiting for Chad and Kathy to come, and our conversation was real easy and relaxed, and that was one thing that I liked about him right away. He was real easy to get to know and talk to, and we both said that we were nervous and kind of laughed about it, and from then the ice was broken, and we just had a real easy time getting to know one another.
Then we went out and saw a movie after that same night.
We went over to the Bad Axe Theater and went and saw a movie, and we were in the upstairs part of the theater, which is this really small room. It's like sitting in a large living room, and we were kind of joking around about it. And afterwards, the movie was over, and we decided to go over to Chad and Kathy's for a while. So I rode there with Darren, and we just talked along the way and got to know one another, and he seemed like a really genuine person and was nice, and we just talked about all kinds of different things. And then he took me back to my car after we had been at Chad and Kathy's for a while, and he asked me for my phone number, and of course I gave it to him.
And she wrote it on a little card.
So I was really pleased with how our first date went, and I guess it couldn't have went any better than that.